Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Strange Road. I'm Mikey. This is Bub. We got Stoner in master control, and we've got a fantastic episode coming your way. Again, guys, we're on all the social media platforms. We got Bub and my nephew Braden getting real active on X. Great place to follow us. Instagram, TikTok, X. We got the Facebook group, the Discord.
Check it out.
You know, we got super stickers and super chats active for you on this premiere. You know, it's Sunday. I'm wearing my Jamar Chase jersey. Hey, the Bengals, not great this year, but I'm still repping.
Yeah, I had to watch the Packers get beat the other night by a field goal, and that was disappointing. But
guess what? Chase, my guy, number one receiver, yards. The guy's killing it. They're not having a great
I don't know
season.
stats.
He's going to be
doing good.
Pro Bowl. Oh,
he's doing great.
He's at the top of the heap. He's the best receiver in the NFL.
There you
so
go.
I'm repping that today. Regardless of their record, we're still holding tight. But we've got a great guest, a returning champion. We have Berton Moran from Local Legends. Berton is a content creator, all around fantastic dude. Berton, how the hell are you, man? Welcome back to The Strange Road.
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be back here with you guys. I know we've talked about coming back for a while, and yeah, I'm returning guest. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, you guys must have enjoyed something about me last time.
Oh,
always. We need to get you in person sometime, or we need to hang out or do some kind of an excursion, because I feel like you've got a lot going on right now with that kind of vibe, and you've got me energized just from the pre-show talk.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of fun going on there already. But yeah, so far, you know, Local Legends, I go to haunted places. I look in strange missing people cases. Sometimes I look into serial killers if they're somewhat adjacent to me, or, you know, if something I can go and actually deep dive into, I'll get into it. And then that leads me on to a whole bunch of other adventures where I actually like to go to locations where things happen. So if you guys are interested in any of that, come check out my channel. And yeah, let's get into it.
Sweet, awesome. Brother, sweet. The last time, just a quick recap, you guys should definitely go back. Berton told us a bunch of great stories, and there's some reels and TikToks and all those things that got a lot of attention. The giant owl story was fantastic.
Zombie coyotes.
We covered a lot.
Yeah, man.
But Berton has been a big supporter of our show. We are so thrilled and so happy to have his support, and you know, and we love what you're doing with your channel. And we've been chatting, and you got a lot of things coming down the pipe with your channel. What's some new, fresh information for the listeners and people watching at home?
Yeah, what you been up to?
Well, first, I'm going to do a bit of a soft brag.
Humble bragging?
A humble brag, mainly because last year, or the time we spoke before, I was under 1,000 subscribers on my channel. That wasn't getting too much love, which is fine, because honestly, I've been doing this for the better part of a decade.
Man, kudos.
And yeah, and this last year, something hit right, and YouTube kind of pushed my stuff out there a little bit. To compare numbers, I was just around a little over 700 subscribers at the beginning of the year. I'm coming up on 5,300 now.
Amazing.
Freight train running.
Yeah.
Get out the way.
Last year, I had right around 12,000 views throughout my entire channel. And then this year, I'm coming up on 700,000.
Wow,
that's
dude.
awesome.
It's a huge jump. So a little bit of a brag there, because it seems like people are finally watching, and they're also liking, they're reaching out. And I'm here for it. So I think that's pretty cool. So this year has been pretty crazy for the channel. It's kind of motivated me a little bit more to do a little bit different than just ghost primarily.
Yeah.
So this year I've looked into quite a few, and I've actually visited one of the places that we talked about last time that I wanted to go to was the Villisca Axe Murder House in Iowa. In Villisca, Iowa. I ended up going there, made a video on it, kind of went over the case, the murders that happened in the house, and then I filmed the locations where everybody was brutally slain. And that was a messed up case. I got lucky because I couldn't do an overnight investigation. I didn't have the time. We went to Des Moines for a convention where we met Devin Sawa and all the Jason Voorhees and all those guys again. And it's like another 1.5 to 2 hour drive from there. But it's really interesting, that house, because of all the paranormal stuff that happens there. I know we talked about it last time, that one guy did an overnight investigation there with his elderly parents, and where he was up in the attic of the house, calling out for demons and ghosts and stuff like that. And they don't know what happened to him, but they know that he's the one who self-inflicted a knife wound on himself.
Oh, good God.
And he says he doesn't remember what happened. Claims that he doesn't know, but they were able to get him to a hospital because he stabbed himself in the chest. And he survived. But whenever we entered that house, in the middle of the day, we signed up for the walking tour thing, but we got there a little early, so they opened it up and said, go ahead, hang out for as long as you want. So I got to spend a couple hours there, just, without anybody else there. So that was like a pretty cool thing. I got to do a mini investigation there, and I got some pretty cool spirit box, what am I saying? Answers. Mm-hmm. So I was asking in the kids' room where they were all murdered. If you guys haven't heard about that, the guy took an axe and he bludgeoned everybody in the house with the axe. He didn't use the sharp part of the axe. He used the dull, or like the hammer part of the axe.
Wow.
Crushed everybody's skulls. And we're talking mom, dad, 3 kids, and then 2 house guests, which are just 2 little girls that were spending the night.
Jeez.
Oh, a little sleepover? That's sad.
It was miserable.
He went full scorched earth.
Damn.
It was terrible. So I'm in the kids' room. I'm asking the spirit box to give me any names. And while they're there in the children's room, they have pictures of every one of the kids that was murdered in that room with their name on it. And as I'm looking down, I'm like, hey, if you're in here, could you tell me your name? And I read the name Boyd is I want to say 7-year-old kid who was murdered there. And through the spirit box, I hear Boyd comes through. And I'm like, whoa, that's pretty decent evidence right there of something. Because what are the odds? Like, if it had said any other name, I would have been like, okay, that doesn't mean anything to me. But the fact that it said Boyd while I was in that room where Boyd died, I thought that was a pretty crazy one. Yeah, it's a messed up case on that one.
I'm just thinking, so you're in there by yourself going through this? I was always thinking, like, you get to this place, and what if it was like some ghost that let you in? You're like, yeah, come on in early, take a tour, Berton. I was like, no, awesome. I'm getting chills just thinking about that.
So during that part, I was by myself, but when I first showed up to the house, it was me, Cassie, and our 2 kids that are with us at the time. We all went through the house, but before I started my investigation, they all stepped outside so I could, do the thing solo.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was pretty cool.
What was the energy like when you stepped in there? Could you feel the energy? Like, was there a kind of like charge in the house, or do you get that vibe when you go to places that you feel have significance to them sometimes?
So that's kind of the thing is, I don't usually get that kind of feeling. Honestly, more than anybody, it's Cassie.
Okay. She's the sensitive, like, yeah.
She is, but on that particular trip, she didn't get any feelings at all. But our daughter Bailey, who's roughly the same age as some of the kids, as soon as she stepped in the house, she started to feel dizzy.
Whoa.
She said it felt like a heaviness on her. She said that she just started to feel weird, right? But she didn't say anything to us until after we left the house. And we didn't ask her about it. She brought it up herself. She's like, did you guys get dizzy when we walked in there? We're like, no, what's going on? Because we're like concerned. As soon as I step in the house, I started to get really dizzy. And it felt like there's just like a lot of pressure on me. And we're like,
wow,
what's going on? And like, usually if it was just me and Cassie, it more than likely would have been Cassie. But now that Bailey was with us that time, she said as soon as she left the house, she was fine. But as soon as she steps back in the house, it's dizziness, like there's something on her. So that one was kind of crazy.
Ooh, that gave me chills. That's spooky. And
I think that's passed down between those 2.
Yeah, for sure. There. Well, it was also making me think too, so you're out investigating, and if you aren't the type that is the sensitive, intuitive, empathic, whatever, and you don't get those, but you still have the desire to kind of research, it just makes me think of like having all those tool sets within the toolbox of like, whether it's your wife that has that kind of like intuitive, or sometimes you do, or but just what another level of like investigation. Like,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, getting vibes like that's a real thing.
Yeah. And Cassie, usually whenever we go, like, we've gone to that haunted school in Nebraska where some girl supposedly died and all this other stuff. But while we were there, she felt somebody grab her hand. She's like, she started moving her hand. I was like, what's up? She's like, something just grabbed my hand. I was like, oh, shit. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, between those two, I'm pretty lucky because I get to use them as a spirit box of sorts. Hey guys, go grab her hand. Don't worry about me. Don't even mess with me. Just go mess with them. They'll tell me about it.
They're the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's
exactly.
So funny.
Gas leak. No, it's pretty cool.
So you've been doing a lot of traveling. You've been have you been kind of a mixture of research at home, and then you pick a spot that you want to get to, and you've been kind of out shooting in the field and doing a little bit of that as well. So
Yes.
what else you got going on?
So I've been, mostly I've been working at my main job, but I'm going to continue with that. But I'll go home and I'll research these things that are relatively near me, stuff I've heard about through the grapevine. Somebody says, hey, you should look into this. So I'm like, okay, I'll look into that. Hey, you should do this. It's only like an hour from here. I'm like, okay. So I started looking into this Leroy Anderson fella from the 90s in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He was a serial killer, which is an hour from here. So I'm like, okay, I'll look into Leroy Anderson. And I go in there, and he was a real sick bastard. He pretended to be a guy interested in hunting on this one guy's property. Him and his wife and his kids live there. Out in the middle of nowhere, he pretended like, oh, I'm so-and-so, and kind of wonder if I could hunt on your land. And they're like, no, but thanks for asking. So, he waits for that guy's the guy to go to work. He comes back while the wife was, still with her children. He brutally attacks her, kidnaps her, leaves the kids there. They see the whole thing, and they never see her again. Like, they never found her body. He said that he threw her, after he was done with her, threw her in this river, and nope, they believe that she just eventually got ripped apart by the currents and all the shit. So I'm looking into that guy's case, and they ended up catching him because this one woman fought back, and it was pretty crazy. And I found out afterwards that another woman who was abducted, murdered, was taken, and she was buried out in the Lake Vermilion National Park thing, which is about an hour from here. So I was able to go out to the area where she was buried and film out there a little bit.
Damn.
Yeah. So I've been like, okay, let's go. I took Bailey with me on that one. She's my daughter. She's 13, but she was interested. So I'm like, hey, if you're into it, let's check it out.
Yeah.
So we went down there and we checked all that out. And that was a pretty crazy case. But while I was researching him, I found out that he was born in the Des Moines area, Council Bluff, Iowa area. So I'm thinking to myself, and this guy didn't start getting active or caught, I should say, until in the 90s. And he was in his 30s, I believe. So I'm thinking, what if these aren't the first victims?
Sure.
So I start looking into missing people from Iowa, that area. And in 1982 or 1984, this paper boy named Johnny Gosch in Des Moines.
Oh God! Burton.
Oh yeah,
Burton.
Bingo.
I didn't want to interrupt you before,
Burton,
but
bingo.
When you said Des Moines, I was like, "There's a lot of weird missing people from Des Moines." And Johnny Gosch. Anybody seen the documentary Who Took Johnny? It used to be a Netflix original. It's gone.
You can't find
it. It's off the face of the earth.
It's hard to find.
Netflix put that out.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Bub and I are very interested in this topic.
I've watched it once. I only saw it once
me too.
on Netflix, and then it was gone.
Yep.
So, Johnny Gosch, paperboy, goes missing Des Moines. 2 years later, another paperboy, same situation, about the same age in the same area, gone, West Des Moines. So he's gone. No trace of him. Then 2 years later again, another boy, they're like, not a paper boy, same area, walking over to a friend's house, gone, never seen again. And like, this is just, I'm reading all these missing people cases. I'm going through the missing people, online, what am I thinking, directory kind of thing.
Sure.
And I see Johnny Gosch, and I didn't crack my mind that it sounded familiar. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. Go a couple years down the road, this other kid, West Des Moines, vanished. I'm like, I read both of them. Paperboy disappeared. I'm like, somebody else has had to have heard about this, right? Like, I'm looking into it, like, this has got to, like, there's no way nobody had made this connection yet. And I would write, the people had made the connection. And then 2 years later, another kid gone missing, like I said. So that's 3 kids, all around the same age, all in the same, I want to say, general neighborhood area, all gone. So I'm like, what the fuck is that about? So I made a video on Johnny Gosch. And then while I was down in Des Moines, I looked up the neighborhood. I went to that neighborhood, and I went to the corner where they found his wagon, and I filmed a short video because I didn't want to, like, this is exactly where it happened and all this other stuff. While they're like, people, it's still a very much a nice neighborhood. I wouldn't want to take my kids and live in that town, in that area because of that, but that's fucking nuts. So you look into it more and more, and Johnny Gosch's fucking mom said that years later, he shows back up on her doorstep in his 20s with another guy. Says, I'm your son, shows her his birthmark. She's like, you're my fucking kid. And he tells her that I can't stay. And they talked for like an hour. Said he can't stay.
He says, you need to stop looking for me. I'm alive. You need to stop this because I'll never be able to go back to my life with you ever. I'm so far down this that I can never come back.
Right. You're already, even though it's probably not what he wants to do, he's probably been co-opted and corrupted and diverted and done basically what happened to him, probably perpetrated against other people. And he's probably done the same thing that happened to him at a certain level, I would think. And
if you remember, whenever he initially went missing, the sheriff in that town, no, stop looking for him. Don't worry about him, guys.
Well, no, they said, how many times has your son tried to run away before? And they were like, he's not run away. He's missing.
Yeah.
But that was the weirdest thing too, was like, oh, that's a kid. Every kid just runs away. Like,
kids used to run away in the 70s and 80s all the time for some reason. And so police officers, they had this rule where it was like, got to be missing for 48 hours because there were so many runaways.
Yeah, let's just give them a head start.
Like the actual people that went missing, that's why all of these missing cases, that now that we have the internet, we know, like, I'm not going to let my kids ride around in some weird neighborhood.
That needs to be a show itself now that we have the internet.
Yeah.
It's like watching the Bundy documentary when they were like, we couldn't figure out Ted Bundy because we didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
Because nobody talked to each other across state lines, from police county to police county to state to state to, and even FBI to who, like, they didn't talk to each other, and they still don't to certain
until
degrees.
After 9/11, a lot of that changed because of terrorism.
Still siloed, though. There's only so much sharing that each side wants to a lot of times, unless they're forced to or compelled to. But anyways, Berton, back to you. Sorry.
Well, one of the things that really struck me about the whole thing was at one point, whenever they were heavy into the search, the sheriff stood up on a park bench and told everybody to stop looking. And I was like, why do you want them to stop looking? If they're volunteering their time to look and, the parents are happy with it, let them look. Maybe they'll find the fucking kid. And I'm sorry about cussing all the time.
Oh, but, you're good.
Please cuss away.
That one bothered me a lot. I was like, what the hell? Why is this cop? And then it goes on to be possibly an entire cover up with a sex ring, a child sex fucking trade going on between the Omaha area and the Des Moines area. And just like the greater cities in between all that shit. And it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, middle of BFE nowhere. There's no internet.
Here's the tie.
It's the Wild West. Do what you want. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think is what was happening. Again, I don't understand how you could have a community or somewhere where, like, 1 goes missing, 2 goes missing, 3. What were the people in the area thinking at the time? Like, did you get to talk to anybody in that community, or have you ever talked to anybody about it, or?
Not while I was in Des Moines, I didn't. I do try and reach out to people. I couldn't exactly get a hold of anybody in those cases. I try and, like, if there's somebody I want to talk to in a case, I will make an effort to reach out. So that one, I didn't get to actually talk to anybody about it. I just did a bunch of research online, books, shit like that. Yeah. Because one good thing I love is just, I'm kind of a, physical media kind of guy. So I like books. Like my whole shelf here full of books and all kinds of crap I've looked into. So I'll read a book, I won't read cover to cover. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'll read most of it. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of crazy, depending on what the book is. I don't know, or how far into the hole I am in the research. But that one, I don't know. That one stuck out to me. So while I was in that area, I wanted to make sure that I did go to that neighborhood and I checked it out. And it's such an unassuming neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
Suburb.
this is the burbs of America, man. This is like your safe place, supposed to be. And yeah.
You know, when that documentary came out, it I think it's like episode 3 or 4, but this character shows up in Who Took Johnny. And it's all about Noreen Gosch. Like, they follow her. Noreen is the main character of this documentary. But eventually this character shows up on her doorstep that she tracked down, named Paul Bonacci. And I'm sitting there going, Paul Bonacci, why do I know this name? Because years before I ever saw this documentary, I was researching the Franklin cover-up, which is the Franklin Credit Union, which is essentially in the Republican Party. This guy was entangled with Bush and Reagan in the top tier of the Republican Party. And essentially there were funds through this credit union. It went bankrupt. So they discovered all this through this discovery process. And essentially it was a money laundering operation for a child sex ring. And this documentary should have been made by BBC Discovery. The whole thing was put together. Powers that be came down and said, this is back in the early 90s, you cannot make this documentary. It's not going to happen. Discovery, BBC pulled out. Right now, I think YouTube hasn't taken it off, but someone has that unfinished documentary.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have, it'll say like insert lower third, insert graphic, insert this, but essentially it's there. And the guy that pops up in the whole story of that is Paul Bonacci. Paul Bonacci is a character that was Johnny, essentially. When he was a kid, he was abducted. Then they turned him into what they call basically a wrangler, or, and Bonacci is...
I remember reading about that.
He claimed...
He was in the car.
That he was in the car when they took Johnny. Okay, so I'm sitting there going, why do I know this name? And he popped up in the case that, the male prostitutes that were found at the White House during the first Bush administration, which was a huge scandal. They had all these, Paul Bonacci, his name gets brought up in that case.
He's all over the place.
So you have this guy who's now in prison, and they've interviewed him. I don't know the last time he's ever been interviewed, but he's the one that told Noreen Gosch, hey, when we took him, they brought him to a safe house in Colorado. And this was basically had a cellar down there, which was a safe house where they would transport these kids, keep them underground for a little bit, and then when they were ready to hit the market or go to the next level, they'd take them out of there. And Paul Bonacci sat there on camera and brought Noreen Gosch to the exact same house. There's the cellar. It's all there. And so over the years, he has been discredited. His name's been dragged through the mud. But I'm just like, why does this guy constantly show up in these scandals? Whether it's the Franklin Credit Union scandal, whether it's the White House prostitute scandal, Who Took Johnny? It's like, and he explained, hey, we go out there, we procure kids, and then, Johnny's probably one of these guys now doing the same exact thing, because it's all about torture. It's all about tormenting them, splitting their personalities. So it's an MK Ultra program, essentially, is what he describes. But very, very fascinating story. When you said that, I about fell out of my chair.
Yeah. Like I said, and that was just one of the ones I got. Like one thing will lead me into another case, which will lead me into another case. But yeah, that one, I was, like I said, just looking in to see if there was any kind of a link between that Leroy Anderson fella and any other missing people. And I came across, just happened to read this kid and then that kid and this kid. And I'm like, there's got to be somebody else has noticed that this is a fucking pattern. Mm-hmm. This is every 2 years, somebody's getting taken from this neighborhood and there's some kid. It's just fucking insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I remember reading about that, and I didn't see Who Took Johnny. I wanted to watch it because I had heard about it, and everybody's like, oh, you got to read that, or you got to watch that documentary. And I do love a good documentary. I'll just go through all those. But nope, that one was a crazy one. That was crazy. I hope we get some answers. I hope that it's not continuing, but unfortunately in this world, I think it is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Keep your kids safe, guys. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
ridiculous stuff.
There's serial killers that were back in the day, like the East Area rapist. they found out eventually that he was the Green River Killer. He was just he was a serial rapist that just never got caught. Nobody knew who this guy was. And then he just kept going and going. And then eventually became a serial killer. And then it turns out that more than likely, those two guys are the same person. He just kept evolving through time. So like what you're saying, you know, and John Wayne Gacy, same thing. When he moved to the Chicago area, he came from Des Moines, Iowa. Or
right.
I think he lived in Des Moines or something like that. And he had a couple cases against him from, you know, trying to diddle little boys and got caught up in a case there. He served time in jail, fresh slate. Like you said, they don't share information. So he moves into this suburb of Illinois and just starts this business, starts recruiting kids to work for him, these young boys to do all this construction work. Years and years later, he's got, 12 bodies in his cellar. So they're active before they get before the big cases start happening. There's other things leading up to that where the Justice Department let them slip through the cracks. I mean, it's over and over again. They should have had that guy years ago, dude.
Oh, it's just hard to think about. But yeah, the good news is we've had how many, you know, advances in technology, the internet, we've had the DNA. Has been a big thing to help catch killers, stuff like that, rapists, all that. So DNA and just the internet communication has become a big thing. You know, you can get your fingerprint taken and now they have you, which is a good thing. And, you know, unless you're one of the people that's concerned about that, I never really cared that if somebody was to take my fingerprints, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not
it's funny.
particularly.
While we were just discussing that, I was thinking about back in the day, you could get away with a lot of the stuff pretty easy, but now, you know, to do any of this, to be a criminal of that nature and type, it's possible, but you know, it's probably going to be more short-lived. Or maybe it's still happening just like it used to, where people are like had no idea it was even happening before there was even a term for serial killer. It was like, what is this person doing? Why are they doing this? We don't know about this, but it was still happening before. But what I'm trying to say is now, like, how do you even, not that I'm trying to aspire to be it, but how could we not with all of the stuff? I mean, we got this web bots that's predicting the alien invasion because it's reading online sentiment. How do we not know? And all these times where people are like, this person should have been on the FBI's radar, or they were on the FBI's radar. They didn't do anything. What I'm trying to get to, my final point is, are they allowing people as a psychological, hey,
how about
we know this person's out there making lampshades out of people's skin, but we just want to see what they're doing. Like, it's almost like a science experiment. They're like, you get what I'm saying, Berton? It sounds crazy, and people would be like, there's no way somebody would allow something like that to happen. And I'm like, I'm the guy that likes to step over the line.
It seems like
I'd like to assume that now, with all the information,
the CEO is going to get away with it, maybe, potentially.
That's way too...
There's a lot of smoke screens.
Well, I mean... That's not a serial killer, though, and that's not...
my point is, with all the technology we have, with all these cameras, like, even that guy managed to get away. That's my only point is...
For, like, 4 days now.
Yeah.
Or 5 days. We're not talking about, like, a 20-year career of, like, you hide in the midst and, like, you're snatching up your neighbor's alley cats and skinning them and picking up little kids and, you know, whatever, like John Wayne Gacy. And I'm like, that's...
Yeah, that was my point. But my point is just the tech. You have cameras all over. There's no way that we shouldn't be able to find that person right away.
Well, again, now you think about today what people can do. And again, if I was really aspiring, I can really think about this. There's all ways to really get around being detected. Okay, you get your face. Well, get one of those quick facial masks you can put on that. It's not a Hollywood or CIA quality, but all it has to do is obfuscate your real face, right?
Yeah, I've seen those masks. That they're kind of like a mesh that you can see through, but just has anybody else's face on it.
Yeah, Kanye West.
In the back, you put your hoodie on.
Yep.
And you know, a camera shows up. Hey, that's Bub.
Yep.
I've seen Bub come in here and murder all these people and left. It's on camera.
There's all kinds of tricks like that to pull off. So what I'm saying is, it's the Bugs Bunny thing. I agree with Mikey that it's gonna get harder. It'll get harder, and again, whatever, it should get harder. Good. We don't want you out there doing what you're doing. You're bad people, or you're weird, and let's figure out what's wrong with you. Let's not have you out there Dahmering everyone. But there are ways to get around it. And one of the ways that I think is going to be really interesting that most people aren't even aware of, and it blew my mind the other day, is AI doing it. And this is the end point of this, was I saw this clip talking about Samsung phones, how good their camera is. Take a picture of the moon. It takes this great picture. And what they found out was you can put that camera on any white orb, and if it thinks it's the moon,
It'll make it the moon.
AI overlays this beautiful picture of the moon.
That's what it is.
And it's like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Now we can't trust our cameras to not AI replace something. That makes me get a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Because maybe it's not just that. Maybe it's going to go to further things. And I'm starting to really think we're spiraling out of control with the whole Matrix-y type stuff that's going on everywhere. Like,
I heard recently, I don't know if this is true, but maybe you guys have seen it. You don't have to edit, like, and subscribe anymore on your videos, I guess. Supposedly, we're going to test it right now because I assume you got to go put this on YouTube eventually. So if I say, don't forget to like and subscribe, now like and subscribe might pop up on the bottom of your thing without you even editing that in there. That they just...
Later on, AI will do it. Oh.
Like, as soon as you upload the video, it's already going to be on there. The next time you say like and subscribe, it just pops up. I only know that because I watched somebody else was talking about it. He says, I'm not going to edit this on there. He said, but I'm going to say like and subscribe. And supposedly this might pop up. And
A graphic? Like a graphic?
Well,
a graphic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Graphics and like and subscribe.
Like the actual buttons.
That Stoner just did that.
Stoner's
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
No. I mean, that's honestly though, Berton, that's kind of where it's getting to with all of that tech is, you know, I was talking to my brother the other day and he was talking about Apple Vision Pro and how when you use that and wear it, it's tracking your eyes.
Oh, yeah.
It's
retina scanning.
Trying to figure out how to use your eyes to interact with it. I read about a patent or a technology that Apple is trying to do with their phones where in the future you don't use your finger to swipe, scroll, you just look at it and interact with it. So there's a lot of this kind of, there's a lot of this futuristic tech that I think is going to come out that I don't know. I think we'll walk right off the cliff into it. And then I'm just really worried. Like, I'm going to long for the days of the 1800s when we actually know fact from fiction in a certain way of being able to at least trust our vision.
Well, you know, one thing to think about is I want to say in the early 2000s, late 2000s to the 2010 area, the movie I, Robot came out.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have those robots from Tesla that look almost identical to the iRobot robot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We were expecting, like, I kind of wanted to get you guys' opinion on that because I think it's kind of neat. I know a lot of people I talked to are like terrified of the idea of the robots. Like, they're not going to try and kill us, I don't think. But if they did, maybe be kind of an interesting way to go out. But what are you guys' thoughts on the whole thing?
I mean, the AI, there's a whole set
AI
of tenets
robots
about AI.
to do a bunch of shit that human beings don't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
The problem is those human beings have jobs that pay for their houses and their kids to go to school. And so you're in this conundrum where it's like all these things that we really shouldn't be doing, you know, like even as far as like making pizza at Domino's or whatever it is.
That'll all get automated.
You know what I mean? Like anything that can be automated. There's this big thing that I just saw on X today is all of the dock workers. They just had this big presentation down in the New York port where they had autonomous trucks where they're unloading these giant cargo ships and they land right on the autonomous semi, knows exactly where to be.
Oh, I watched it. It was driving around.
Boom, goes on. They pull away. And the crane, by the way, is also autonomous.
Yeah, right.
And they're landing it.
Jesus.
And these dock workers are
This is my theory of the future.
And they're like, we're striking until you get rid of autonomy and AI. Dude, sorry. Guys, that's not happening.
The genie is not going back in the bottle.
That's not happening. You really think these docks care about you, the worker?
Again,
and especially since
it's a shifting of tides.
Nobody has the middle classes back anymore.
Yeah, but we've historically given up jobs to a machine that we don't use a shovel to dig anymore. We use a backhoe and an excavator. We don't use a crosscut saw. We use whatever level. And I'm not saying, hey,
nobody does this.
It's just if my job's not needed anymore, if they go, hey, Justin, we don't need you to make pizzas. Okay, well, I guess maybe I have to find another job, or maybe I have to find another food item to make that a robot's not make.
But if you're a 50-year-old dock worker, what other opportunities are there for you? That's where I get. I'm like,
well, that's where
tell them to go code. Remember that?
That's where you've got to figure out as a society. You can't just let people fall off a cliff like that. I'm not saying just like screw you.
Yep.
There has to be kind of because what you are doing is overhauling how we are operating as a society, and this is why I always say
talking about like universal basic income or something
we used to be. hey, you want this? It's a one-off. And then you had somebody like a Ford or whoever that said, here's a factory line. We're going to make all this shit. And then you said, we need a lot of people to make this stuff. And then we started making robots and we went, damn, we don't need all these people to make all this stuff. And that's just what's happening. If you really want me to get conspiratorial,
let's do it.
If you really want me to go that way, I had this theory at one point of like, that is why I think there's this whole push to, I won't say it's an active thing, but there are all these conspiratorial topics of depopulation. You see the birth rates crashing. You see all these things where it's like, I think the elites got to the point where they don't need you and I to work anymore.
No. That's
really what I think has happened. And again, I just saw an autonomous chicken coop the other day. This thing's solar powered. It moves around on the grass by itself for the chickens. You got the dock being unloaded by the autonomous everything. We as people should just be able to live. And if you, Burton, again, you want a Ferrari, go get one. They're being made. All the ores are being mined by robots. All of them are being made by robots. Nobody's working. Everybody can just sit and chill and think. You want to go to the beach? Go to the beach. You want to go to ski? Go ski. You want to go in outer space? We're going to have rockets that'll shoot you in outer space.
And especially if we have free energy. And
you think aliens are going to the bank and depositing their credits and then going, can I go on the invasion leader?
Great point.
No, they're just like, they're at this level where like everything's at a point.
Around.
Yeah, it's free energy. It's
researching.
0 point energy. It's whatever. It's interstellar travel. We're not going interstellar if we're worried about balancing our checkbooks and whether crypto's mooning. Like, we're just not. We're just not. Like, that's not what I think is going to happen.
If you're worried about the government taking 30% of your check, and then at the end of the day, you work for McDonald's and your check is like $250, $300.
You're screwed.
In a week.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. You're not going interstellar. We're not going interstellar doing that. We're not serious. We're not serious until we have flying cars and jetpacks and all that. And again,
you brought up the
free everything. Robots will be doing it. They'll be working. That's fine. Go do it, robots. I'm happy to let you do it.
I'm happy to let you do it. But
we need human oversight.
You got to take care of the people that are going to lose all those jobs, though. Well, that's stock workers.
But again, you shouldn't have to worry about anything. You want clothes? Go get them. They're being made.
We have such a bureaucracy where we don't. First of all, we don't teach children in school on how to pursue their dreams, their passions, and what they would like to do with their life. We teach them how to be robots, human robots, and how to get on time for things.
What would you teach them to do if the robots were doing everything? What would be our purpose and job?
That's something.
Again, I think we'd be like modern day Native Americans just dreaming about getting more out in the stars. Then
everybody would become archaeoastronomers.
Yeah. Would we be like?
We'd be building pyramids again.
Working on psychic energy or ESP or
We'd build the next great pyramid. That's what we would do. We'd come together, human projects.
Yeah. One thing that you brought up was that now that they're doing all this stuff and you're not needed anymore, made me think of this thing I saw recently. This guy named Tyler Oliveira. He kind of goes to all these places that are pretty hot topics right now, but he went to Canada in one of his recent videos to check out what's going on with the legalization of assisted suicides.
Interesting.
Yep.
Oh, it's very
in Australia.
In Canada, I didn't know about Australia, but I know that they have like these pods that you go to sleep in, and then you just don't wake up. But
what?
These people are, they're going to their doctor and they're like, "Hey, I had a bad surgery years ago, and I'm in so much pain. What can you do for me?" And they give them like, "Oh, do your Tylenol," which doesn't work anymore because people are used to all that, and it doesn't help anything. And they're like, "I'm still in pain." Then the doctor looks at him in the face, says, "Have you considered ending your life? We can help you with that." They're like, "No, I don't want to die. I just don't want to be in pain."
Yeah.
So like that's a big push now. Is every time somebody needs something in Canada, which obviously they have that universal health care down there, that maybe we just end it all.
That's one less person that's
on
the government healthcare. Yeah.
It's an interesting take because I've got both sides of the coin with watching people that kept people alive in a hospital setting for a lot longer than was morally appreciated.
I have
probably,
in my will,
and I'm thinking people were haunting their family members for doing so. But there were a couple cases like that. But it's to somebody that has intractable pain that won't be fixed by surgery or medication. I mean, you're just going to be in pain 24/7. There are a lot of people like that. Hey, if you don't want to be here, more power to you. I'm a lot for personal autonomy on that level of like, if you're in this situation that it's never going to get better. And I mean, literally like just pain you can't imagine. I don't know that I could go through that for my entire life.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Let's say like you end up getting depressed. Let's say you go through a breakup or something.
That's different.
And they're like, well, if you sign the papers, we'll help you out. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, what's going on here?
No, I'd say
let this happen.
I'd say to me, it's more like the whole, like, it sounds weird, but medically you'd say do no harm. Right. And well, you're like, but you're advocating for people to end their life. Well, in a totally considered setting of not a mental or an emotional, or it's literally a physical condition of discomfort to the point of your quality of life is just, it's not able to be balanced out at all. That's one thing. But if you came in and you're like, I just don't like feel like being here. That's Futurama. Like one of the first episodes where Fry ends up, he thinks he's in a phone booth and it's a suicide booth, and Bender doesn't want to pay to kill himself, so he hops in with Fry and
and misses all the knives. I remember that so good. But I don't know if that's exactly how it worked with the booth, but I remember parts of the episode I watched where there was like a booth, people just go lay down, and I don't know if it's like filled with gas and then you just die. Yeah. But it's just an interesting thing that I was like, man, I guess they're really pushing it on people. Like anytime they're have a medical thing, they're like, well, this is an option. We just want to let you know that is an option. It's like, let's hold off on that for a while.
Yeah, that's like last option.
It seems like a eugenics program that
like the woman in
the Rockefellers would be running or something.
Right. And the woman that I saw was just like, I literally just wanted help with my medications and my pain. And they're like, maybe you should die.
That's extreme. That's I just say that's a little bit lazy on their part. And they're not really trying to dig a bit there. I'm not down with that. Like, you had a bad day. Sorry, go get an ice cream cone. You'll feel better. Eat a cookie.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't need to jump in this pod.
Exactly.
It's something to think about, though. And actually, like, the whole topic and concept of, like, planning for life. We're bringing somebody into this world, or we're having a birthday every year for it. But, like, on the other aspect, do we really, as modern day people, really think ahead to our demise, to our next step, to our next phase? Do we sell it? It's weird because we should kind of celebrate both, I would think, like coming in and going out is kind of the two biggest moments I think we're ever going to have, right? Like,
right.
Breaking into this plane of existence and then jet setting off to wherever it goes thereafter, but also kind of like prepping for that, and intentionally like planning your life towards some of those endpoints.
Pretty interesting. Yeah. Pretty interesting thing to think about.
What do you think happens, Berton, when we die? You think we go into a void, into blackness, into nothingness?
There have been times in my life where I thought, that honestly wouldn't be too bad if there was nothing.
Yeah.
But do I believe that? No. Just because of the things I've already seen with the paranormal, shit like that. Kind of makes me think, no, there's something afterwards. Maybe it's what you believe in. Maybe it's not what you believe in. But as far as if there's a nothingness, then you won't know it.
No,
you'll never
have no
know
idea.
It. If there's something there, then you'll know it. And they say that a chemical releases in your brain depending on how you die, where you relive a bunch of stuff as you're passing, which, maybe that is the heaven or the afterlife that people think about. I honestly do believe that there is something afterwards just because, like I said, I've seen full body apparitions. I've recently experienced a couple things in my house that were creepy that I'm like, okay, so there is definitely some credence to spooks and specters and stuff like that, which I've already known. But sleep paralysis, I've experienced that. Finally, which is not something I was like, yay, sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Dude, yeah.
It's not. And, so the thing was, my daughter was basically kicking me out of my bedroom, taking over, hey, can I sleep with mom? I'm like, that's fine, but I'm going to sleep in your bed because I'm not going to sleep on the fucking couch anymore. So I was sleeping on my daughter's bed, and I'm laying kind of facing the wall on my side, and I hear something walk in the room, and I'm like wide awake. I can't move. I'm like, God dang it, what's going on here? And then I start to feel pressure being pushed on the bed, like somebody's crawling on the bed.
Been there.
I'm like,
yep.
turn around, and I can't move. And I'm like, I'm yelling at myself in my mind, like, just turn around, you know something's there. And this thing started like straddling me, like getting on top of me and getting close to me. I could
Dan Aykroyd.
feel right, Dan Aykroyd, but not quite that way. But I was, like I said, I was facing my side. I wasn't laying on my back. But I feel this thing get on the bed. It's like on me, and all I can imagine, it feels almost like there's hair touching me. So I'm thinking like you hear the old hag stories, and that's what's going through my mind is like this bitch is on me. And I'm like, God damn it.
It's a single bed, lady.
This is a single.
Oh God, or creepy, like,
Occupied.
gangly, gross hair, like just
Right,
touching.
and
Oh,
I could feel all of the bed moving, and I feel this, and I'm like, turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around, turn around. So I could push through it, and I spin around, and as soon as I push through it, I can move completely. Nothing's there.
mm-hmm.
All the pressure's off the bed. Nothing's there at all. I'm just like, God dang it. I experienced that. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, that's weird.
So there was another night where I was staying up late researching a bunch of stuff and go to my bedroom. Daughter's already taken my spot. So I'm like, okay, that sucks. Oh, well, back to bed. So I'm going to go sleep in her room again. I turn the light on. I'm dog tired. I've had a day. And ever since we moved in this house, everybody's seen a shadow person at one time or another. And whether it be like you're in the bathroom in the hallway and something walks by and you're like, okay, but you're home alone. So what the hell's going on? But that night I go into her room. I had the light on, the door's open to the hallway. And this shadow being walks out of the darkness and into the light. And I'm standing there looking at it. And as tired as I was and as upset as I was, I looked at it and I said, what the fuck do you want? Just like that. I just looked at it, what the fuck do you want, right?
Damn.
And this
Clint
damn
Eastwood.
thing.
Yeah.
No, I was just tired. I wasn't like, what do you want? I was more like, what do you want? What the fuck do you want?
Come on,
Just leave me
man.
alone.
Or whatever
Like,
you are,
come on.
shadow person.
It's after midnight. Are you serious right now? You know?
Yeah.
But so I'm like, what do you want? And this thing starts walking into the room I'm in. And I'm going, no. Like, that's enough of that. And it shrunk down to child size and just walked into the room. And then it dissipated. And I was like, okay, yep. So I slept on the couch that night.
Yeah.
And it felt like whatever it was in the hallway watching me the entire time. I'm just like, God damn it. I don't know what you were, but just leave me alone. I'm trying to go to sleep. But I experienced that one. Like, that one was weird because it wasn't like down the hallway that I saw it. It was 5 feet in front of me. I'm just like, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where I was like, no. You can stay out there. And it's just, fuck that. It's coming in. So that one was weird. So that's another thing that, as far as more paranormal shit that I've seen recently, that's one of them. I thought that's kind of crazy. But so I've been, again, this is not a soft brag, but I have been recognized for my channel recently. A couple times people are like, hey, I've seen you. And I'm like, oh shit. So this is a random one. The guy didn't recognize me, but it felt like everybody, like, I install garage doors full time. That's my job. This is a hobby. I love it. I wish it would be my full-time job doing YouTube stuff. But I get this call that me and my partner that I work with that day have to go out, and this guy has a garage door that's opening on its own. They don't know what's going on.
Oh boy.
And so I go out to this guy's, it's a old like gas station these guys use for storage. And it's just his, my dad owned it, my father-in-law owned this place, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to figure out, what could be wrong with this guy's garage door operator that's making it do this. And I'm like, so how often does this happen? And maybe it's just a bad board on there, or maybe a rat got inside of it and urinated on the board and making it open on its own. And the guy's like, well, these are fairly new operators. And I was like, how often does this happen? And he's like, well, he starts going, doesn't really want to answer questions. I'm like, well, do you guys have any like problems with like power going out around here? He gets like real quiet and he looks at me and like, okay, this is going to sound weird. Do you believe in God? And I said, this is
Thought we were talking garage doors.
Right.
Damn, that's a real left field curveball there.
The way he said that, right, is like, because I'm on a ladder, he says, do you believe in God? And I'm like, this story's about to get really fucking good.
Like, do you know who I'm talking to? Really? He doesn't know who he's talking to right now. This is the guy.
So I'm like, go on. And yeah, like the guy I work with, he knows about my YouTube channel. He's into like all that stuff. He loves to hear my stories of where I go to places. So he's like, this guy right here wants to hear this story because he loves, like, he starts going off on my channel. I'm like, shut up. Don't do that. I don't do that to people.
Yeah.
Or I'm like, I'm a ghost hunter. No, I don't do that.
Yeah.
So he's doing that for me. And I'm like, shut up. I want to hear this guy's story. So he tells me that this building was his father-in-law's like workshop. He used to do woodworking and stuff in here. And his father-in-law died like a year before. So this isn't my story, but this is something that happened to me because I was in the building. The guy telling me the story that my father-in-law loved it in here. He was always in here. And after he passed, shit started to get weird. I'm like, oh? He's like, things have been moved around in here. And this place is always locked. There's no way in here. And he had like this 5-gallon bucket full of barrels for rifles. Some random thing, the guy working on guns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he said that thing there is heavy as hell. It's been moved around multiple times. I've come in here. It's over here. It's over here. It's on that side of the building. It's on this side of the building. I don't know what's going on with it. It's moving around on its own. There's a pair of boots. He points out the back. You see those boots over there? I was like, yeah. I opened up this door one day and those boots were right next to, like, in front of the door. Like they were trying to walk out of the building. They were just standing there. I was like, why are these boots here? Like, what is going on? Their shit been moved around all the time. It's really freaking me out. And now these doors are doing this. Just this one door keeps opening on its own. So whenever it happened, there was cops sitting out here waiting for people to speed by because it's a nice little speed trap area. So I asked the cops, what did you guys see what happened with my door? I was like, yeah, it was weird. It just opened halfway and stopped on its own. He's like, okay. So he's telling me all this stuff. I'm like, well, that's really kind of crazy. Not like you're crazy, but it's kind of interesting story.
Yeah.
So I check out the entire operator, the board, no piss on it, nothing like that. It works just fine. I have no problems with it at all. I replaced the board on it and reprogrammed his remote, which he didn't have any program to that other one. So he doesn't know how that door was opening on its own, which I was like, that's weird. And he didn't have any issues that I know of any after that with that door, but he also put it on an extension cord. So whenever he leaves that, whenever he's there, he just plugs it in every time. That way it doesn't open anymore. He didn't have any more issues after that.
That's hilarious.
He told me another story that this one arguably more interesting. That one was cool. But this guy is kind of, do you guys remember me telling you the story about the demon?
Yeah.
That happened last. Okay. And then in the basement.
In the basement. Yeah.
The walls.
Yep.
So that was in the Black Hills of South Dakota. This guy's story is still on this side of the state, but here it goes. His wife goes to a yard sale, buys a music box. He says, the hell, whatever. I don't care. But whenever his daughter was younger, she used to get scared of using the bathroom in their house just because she was a little kid. She'd sneak into her parents' room, come grab her father by the shoulder, say, Dad, can I use the bathroom? And he'd just go to the bathroom. So she'd go to the bathroom. Now, years later, his wife buys this music box at a yard sale, puts it in the bedroom closet. That night that they put it in there, he's trying to sleep. He is like, out of it. He hears the closet door open. He hears footsteps walk up to his bed, and he feels a little hand grab his shoulder and goes, can I use the bathroom? And he opens up his eyes, and there's nobody there. And he's like, my daughter at this age is a teenager. She doesn't do this anymore. She doesn't care. She'll just go wherever. Go to the bathroom. Not a big deal. So he's freaked out. He's like, what was that? That was weird. He thought it's a dream. I'm reliving something that happened a long time ago. It's not a big deal. He said every fucking night for like a year, I hear the fucking door open to the closet. I hear the footsteps walk up to my bed. I feel it grab my shoulder and goes in my ear, can I use the bathroom? And every time I wake up to the point where I'm just like shooting out of bed and I'm yelling, "No, you can't use the fucking bathroom." And my wife's waking up and she's like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "You got to get rid of that music box." And she's like, "I'm not getting rid of the music box.
Oh, yeah.
You're ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
I love the music box. I'm not getting rid of it."
There's
He said, "I tried to pawn it off on my other relatives." I'm like, "Hey, I think you'd really like this music box." And every one of the other relatives says, "I've already talked to her about what's going on. I ain't taking that fucking music box."
Mm-mm.
go to Goodwill.
And he says, I was like, "Man, you need to get rid of that music box." He's like, "Well, I already did. I snuck into the closet one day while she was at work. I took it out to our other property we got. I broke it into a million pieces and I burned that thing, and I haven't had a problem since." I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay." He's like, "Yeah, I kind of got in trouble with that because my wife came home a couple weeks later, starts going through the closets. 'Hey, where's my music box?' I'm like, 'Oh, it's not in there? That's weird.'" And she immediately caught on that he got rid of it. But yeah, he says,
I'd be afraid to
he said-
destroy it.
Hey,
Right.
there's a certain way that a lot of like clairvoyants and Native American shamans, you bring them to your house and you have a haunted item, they will tell you don't destroy it or don't burn it. That you're gonna have to do it.
I'm worried about
a
it. Yeah, like
certain
it's going
way
to jump
to
to me
dis-
like falling,
Yes,
like that
that's-
spirit's going to go out of that item and into me. And then
If you've ever heard of a divic box, which is like
Oh, yeah.
a Jewish divic box, is
Jewish
what it's called.
demon.
Yeah,
demon
it's
box,
like a
the Jewish demon
box
box
that-
spirit.
You can push a demon if you're
like
being
a Ghostbusters trap.
pretty much. Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
Wow.
But they have Hebrew symbols. It's like
Is it kind of like the
Hebrews-
movie It with the whole like the new one, the new version where they like try to trap it in there in the energy force and
Right.
Pretty much.
put it inside that kind
Yep.
of vessel to.
I've also seen where they're like dipped in wax too, so you can't open them at all. But
Yes.
I don't know how true that is.
They're sealed.
Yep.
But I saw this story on one of those paranormal kind of interview shows that these college kids were like, just as a joke, they're sitting around getting high and drinking, and they're on eBay and they see a Divix box and they're like, "Oh, that's bullshit. There's nothing to that. Let's buy this thing."
No thanks.
So they buy this Divic box that's some random dude. They could never
Did it
find
come with a free Ouija board?
yeah. So they bring this thing into their house, and these dumbasses pry this thing open, and they open it. And for the next 3 or 4 months, they are just under attack, under siege, to the point where one of the roommates moved. It reminded me of Lindsay
I heard
Brisbane's
about
story.
this.
Yeah, now you got me
A little
wondering.
bit. And so they had to end up getting a Jewish rabbi. The only thing they could think of was to start reaching out to spiritual leaders. So they did get a hold of this rabbi. They performed a ceremony and they put this demon back into the Divic box. And then the rabbi took the Divic box from him.
Yeah.
And basically now it's in a temple somewhere where it's with prayer, it's sealed and protected. And haunted items are no joke.
I was just thinking it would be a great I just saw this guy that he makes like $10,000 a month just sending potatoes to people. You can have him write a message on a potato and he'll just send it to somebody like anonymously. Like, if I liked your show, Burton, I'd be like, "Burton, local legends, you're the best." And he just sends you this potato and you're like, "Who the hell is this from?" Or you can write like, "I hate your stuff," or what if it's just anonymous potato.
Whatever the message is.
I'm thinking anonymous Divic box that you send it to somebody and they
Screw
open it up and it says, "You've just unleashed the demon." And not that there really is one in it, but follow me here again. I've had a lot of these today, but
makes
what
some enemies.
if as an experiment, because I get into sometimes I wonder how much can we subconsciously manifest certain things?
That's poltergeist.
How much are there actual powers out? Like, because I don't know if sometimes it's external or internal kind of materializing external.
I think it's
like the
both.
energy we create sometimes. Maybe we can spill out of our own bodies into the plasma and
That's
create
what
something else.
poltergeists are. I think is you are creating all
Well,
of
and again,
that
but that's kind of the
energy.
Ghostbusters making the goo and stuff. That's all
yeah.
of the
Yeah, they're-
negative energy turning into a psychomagnetheric slime. Like, right.
a physical slime.
Wasn't there also a lot of those poltergeist cases were proven to be connected to one of the girls living in the home that's been going through
a
puberty,
teenager? Yes.
going through the change.
Yes.
There you go.
And then shit started happening to them due to their emotional state, but they're
100%.
making shit manifest in their house.
Right.
It's so weird.
Like Jean Grey from X-Men, maybe you've got too much power and it
Jubilee.
manifests
Right.
out as a poltergeist, or your TVs are blowing up.
Jubilee from X-Men.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So That guy
That's
tells
wild.
me, about this spirit in this box and how he got rid of. I did ask him before I found out he destroyed it. I was like, want to get rid of this box? I'm like, oh, I'm kind of an ass. I'm glutton for punishment and a lot of things, but I would have been down to take it. I wouldn't have said anything to anybody in the house.
So that was going to be the next point. Yeah.
I wouldn't bring that into my house.
Well, look at Bowser. That's what Bowser's house is.
That would have been a great.
That's what people did. He was like an orphanage home for weird things.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of my thing. Is I would have had it for at least a month to see what would happen, and then I would have sent it to somebody else.
Yep.
But you said that whole, sending a potato thing, and hey, you've opened up the demon. Now it's in your house. It reminded me of like the old school chain letters. People get in a letter and like, oh, you've got to send this to this many people. Now.
Yeah. So well, I was thinking more like modern day voodoo that's, practiced via mail of like, somebody wronged you and you're like, here's your divic box. Or somebody did good. You're like, hey, there's a good spirit in here. Open it up and it's going to make your house loving and warm energy. Whatever you want to say. But just almost that power to charge somebody's brain in a certain way. Like as a spoof. Yeah.
You send it to somebody, you tell them, hey, you got to keep this thing for 1 week, and then you got to send it to somebody else. But then you got to like continue that story going on. That'd be kind of crazy.
That'd be fun.
But so the demon thing that happened to me happened in the Black Hills. A bunch of the things that I've seen happen in the Black Hills. The Black Hills are known for people digging up in their backyard to, renovate their backyard and finding bodies from miners and stuff like that.
Wow.
So this guy tells me all the stories, and he says, to be honest with you guys, I'm done with all this spooky shit. We got a place. We just bought a place up in the Black Hills, and we're moving out of here. And I said, "Oh my fucking God.
Moving into the spook zone."
Do you have?
He's like, "Yeah, we're getting out of here. There's too much spooky stuff. We're moving to the Black Hills." And I'm like,
"That's the epicenter of strange, right there."
Camped out in the Black Hills.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah. I love it.
Beautiful area.
Yep. It really is. It's like the best part of South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of flat, and then you get to that side, and it's like, oh, this is pretty damn nice, actually.
Yeah, we stayed by a lake out there. I can't remember what the lake was we stayed by, but I kept thinking the whole time, like, this is a $20 campsite. Obviously we're surrounded by coyotes every night. Like they'd start there. It almost sounded like the tornado sirens here in Columbus that they fire up every other Wednesday or whatever it is. But you would hear them start going in a circle like, oh, and it would just start chaining around. My dog would start getting all nervous. We'd put him in the van and let him hang out. But it's beautiful out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so nice out there.
It's spooky.
But it is spooky. There's a lot of haunted history in the Black Hills. But he said that to me. I'm tired of all this spookiness and all this creepy shit going on. We're moving to the Black Hills. And I'm just like, I even said that to him. I was like, you don't want to do that. You're moving into it.
Had he already committed and bought a new place? And was it? Oh,
they already got a place. Yeah, they're moving. They already moved.
You should stay in touch with that guy.
Smudge that place.
You should stay in touch with that guy.
I think he ended up having some issues not that long ago, because this must have been earlier in the year that I went and helped him out. And then one of the other guys, one of my other coworkers, we all have our own separate trucks. We all go our own routes and install and fix and stuff like that. And we come back to the shop one day towards the end of the day, and it says, the guy I talked to is really obsessed with you. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, he said that. Oh, yeah, I talked to that guy who has a YouTube channel, and he does all this haunted stuff. He was so cool. He started talking about me, and I was like, oh cool. I was like, well, it's his issue. And he says, it was like a no issue. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. A lot of people have these sensors on their doors that they knock off, and they don't want to hear you tell them that, hey, just put the sensor back up. It's super easy. And they're like, oh, you guys come out and do it.
Yeah.
You're going to get charged for us to do nothing.
Now you got me thinking of the service call that Jeff was talking about when we did that episode the other week. And he was saying his neighbor was an electrician, and he rewired the street lamp so it wouldn't come on.
Oh,
and then a neighbor in the cul-de-sac was calling the city like, hey, this light's out. So like the company was coming out and putting in a new light like every week for like weeks on end.
God, that was ridiculous.
It's amazing.
Oh man, it's just too funny of like, again, maybe it's sometimes, but again, if you really investigate it and you go, no, it's not this or it's not that. But sometimes are those like, what might be mystifying at first is sometimes later proven, but that garage door, that doesn't make any sense. So I love his dedication to going, you know what? I'm going to solve this by just putting it on an extension cord. And it's just, once I get out of the garage,
power to it.
Pull it. Yeah.
Yep. No more problem there. You can't have power surge issues if there's no power. No, it was a pretty good idea on that, but it's just like the way he said that originally was, "Do you believe in God?" And I just like immediately my mind went, "Oh, this is about to get really good." Whatever the story is,
That would have been me. Like, all right,
this is gonna
Let's say,
buckle
yeah.
up,
this
baby.
is about to make my freaking day on this job.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this. But Omaha. So me and my daughter, there's this park in Omaha that I had wanted to go to like for years, just because there's a shit ton of urban legends with it.
Okay.
And my daughter and me went to see Sum 41, the band.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they're back on tour.
They
right
are.
now.
It's their last tour. They're breaking up after this, I guess. So they started their tour in Omaha, and my daughter, she has become a huge fan because I'm a nerd, and she likes them. And she'd never been to a concert before. Me and Cassie would go down to the Black Hills to Sturgis Rally, and we'd see like Disturbed or anything like that. And
Oh
she kinda
man,
jealous.
that's
Disturbed's dope.
awesome.
Disturbed.
Well, Sturgis
We were
in
like,
general would be
Disturbed
sweet.
rules live.
We were like, I could probably thrown something and hit him. Like, we were that close. Like, it was so cool.
Have you been there for
That
any
was
of the
like the-
motorcycle rallies?
David
for
Draymond?
Sturgis
Yeah,
itself? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
That's when the shows are happening. Is that
Yeah,
that?
they have-
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
they have shows year round. But yeah, I went there this last year. We seen Jelly Roll,
nice.
What?
and that was really cool.
I love Jelly
Yeah.
Roll.
Jelly Roll is cool.
He's
He's
cool
not
as
much
shit.
of a showman on stage, but he's not
He's-
exactly running around like Kid Rock or anything. But
Plays guitar and sings.
Yeah.
they did a like a tribute to Green Day thing where they did Good Riddance, Time of Your Life, and all that
What?
stuff. Like, holy crap! Yeah,
That's cool.
Jelly
sick.
Roll if they're singing it. Oh, that's freaking amazing.
We were Green Day kids. We loved Green Day growing up.
Oh yeah.
Green Day
This is one of the
amazing.
first CDs I ever bought. Was in like 4th grade. Green Day Dookie.
Oh yeah.
So I go down to Omaha. We see Sum 41 that night, and then we get up early the next morning to make the 3.5 hour drive back here. And before we leave, I'm like, you know what? I got to go to this park. I want to go check it out. And I'll tell you some of the urban legends with it just because it's hilarious. There's this staircase there called, I believe it's the Devil Staircase or something to do with the devil. And basically, the urban legend goes with that is that if you count the number of stairs going up the staircase, you'll get a different number of the number of stairs you count going down the staircase. And sure enough, I somehow miscounted, but it's not hard whenever you actually go out there because the staircase is in terrible shape. It's pretty busted up. But they say that if you are able to count the correct amount of stairs that are there going up and down, then the devil will appear and grant you a wish. But if you accept the wish, you essentially have sold your soul. I made a video on that, and while I was there, just like a quick YouTube short that got within the month over 100,000 views. That one blew up. I was like, holy crap. Now I'm getting all these people from Omaha commenting on it. Like, oh, they've been saying that urban legend since I was a kid in the 70s and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy, you know? But the second part of the video I talked about was supposedly at night in this park, a group of albino cannibals roam the area, and if they get a hold of you, they basically, you know, eat you. So
That's horrifying.
that's part of the right.
Jeez, 'em.
And you know, it's one of those urban legends. Is like, where did that manifest from? Was somebody an albino and they just gave them a bunch of shit because they live near the thing? But people were commenting on there like, I've seen the albinos. I'm like, what? I thought, you know, of all the parts of the bullshit story it could be, I thought that would be like the one that's like, no, that's stupid. No, there's one guy who was albino in the game shit too. But there's so many people commenting on there. And I did get a lot of that. Albino cannibals, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's like, hey, I didn't come up with these urban legends, man. I'm just reporting them to you guys. But there was people saying that there's an albino farm not too far from that park. And I'm like, what is an albino farm? Like, what do you mean albino farm? But yeah, like that's one of the fun urban legends that's kind of with that place. And then I also got a lot of shit because that park is also known for a lot of gang activity,
Oh,
supposedly. A lot of people have been murdered out there. I didn't know that, so that kind of sucked. But I went out there super early in the morning. I don't think gang members do their stuff at 6 in the morning. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Were you out there dressed in all red or all blue for any particular reason, or?
I think I was wearing this sweatshirt.
Okay, I was about to say, stay in the neutral zone. That's like Switzerland.
Right. But no, I remember I wanted to go out there and check that out because I wanted to find a staircase, and I found the staircase, and then I found out at that point in my life how out of shape I am.
Fair point.
Holy crap! Like 180 steps I counted on the way up, or 190, and I'm like, I thought maybe we were going to count like 30 steps here.
Stairmasters suck.
That's rough.
Not joking. That's good not
cardio.
Fun. That's one of the hardest freaking workouts, man, is hiking upwards and then down. I mean, just hiking up and down like elevation is not easy.
And people were like, "Oh, it's dangerous out there." It could be, but kind of a funny thing about it was I had a hard time finding the staircase just because I'm not from the area.
Mm-hmm.
And I got help from a group of Frisbee golf players. I don't think
bunch of stoners,
the frothers.
Yeah, right. I literally pulled up. These guys are up, and because the park itself is really cool. I like the park. It's got like a Frisbee golf thing on there, a lot of hiking areas, and I see these guys playing Frisbee golf. So I get out of my car and I yell up the hill to them, "Hey guys, where the hell is the staircase everybody's talking about?" And they're like, "Oh, it's right over there." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I drive down the road that they point down, and then I found it. I'm like, it's hilarious. That was such a random thing to yell at somebody, and they knew exactly what I was talking about. I was like, "Hey, where's the staircase?" They're like, "Oh, it's right over there."
I wish you would have had a little like devil's costume you could have put on. Like, "Hey guys, do you know where the stairs are around here?" See these dudes golfing. Like, what the hell?
Yep.
Is that him?
I was driving a Cadillac. I could have got out and been like, "Hey, somebody counted the stairs correctly. I need to find these things quick."
That's too
funny.
You know
what I mean? I got a contract you got to sign.
That's
awesome. Man. But yeah, no, as far as like kind of crazy urban legends I've looked into recently, that's one of the funnier ones. I got a lot of information from random people there.
That's pretty cool.
Also got called an idiot, but I usually get called an idiot with a lot of these videos, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, but you know what? The haters can hate.
You're in the trenches.
They can sit at home they can sit at home and not do anything or not make a video or not go and put boots on the ground, but don't pay them any attention to what you do.
I asked my daughter too. I was like, "You want to walk these stairs with me or no?" And she's like, "I don't really want to." I was like, "Hey, Bailey, we might not come back here. So would you like the opportunity to tell people that you walked the devil's staircase? Or do you want to be able to tell people I sat in the car while my dad did it?" She's like,
"That's good."
She got out of the car. I was like,
There you go.
Yeah. Get out of the damn car.
Yeah, give it a ride.
That's it.
So were you able to count the same stairs going up, going down? You said you lost track, or you weren't sure what the exact number was?
I was off by, I want to say like 10 to 12 steps on the way down. Also on the way down, it's kind of disorienting because like, I don't know, like I said, the stairs are kind of busted up, but going up is one thing. It's kind of a steady incline. Coming down on that incline at the same time with broken stairs, it's like, whoa, I'm going to end up freaking going over this thing.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Exactly. Then I've seen other people's videos where supposedly they found like blood and stuff on the stairs at night. I didn't go at night, but I went into daytime. But I took the opportunity that are afforded to me. So I'm like, I'll go when I can.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. I don't know. It's a fun little thing. So if you guys ever find yourself in the Omaha area, look for the albinos out there.
Oh. Keep an eye out. I mean, knowing me, I will find them somehow, and I'll get freaked out. Yeah, I'm thinking, is this kind of like the melon heads, the albinos? I don't know much about either, but
so much shit.
The moon-eyed people.
I got so much. The melon heads. I did a small YouTube video about. Hey, there's a forest, and I can't remember exactly where it was, but supposedly it's infested with these melon head people, and people are like, "It's a real disease. You're making fun of them." I was like, I wasn't making fun of anybody. I know it's a real thing. I didn't just saying that this is the urban legend that was afforded.
Right. We're not talking about hydrocephalus here.
People love to be offended these days.
Oh, that's true.
Because it allows them to be virtuous. They can point out the wrong that you're doing, and it gives them the higher ground, which is just gross.
Yeah.
People are so sick of that shit anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's moving away from.
I'm not trying to be a bad person here. I'm just saying I've heard the story of the Crowley melon heads or whatever it was from Jay, I think, from Cryptids of the Corn. And that whole like albino cannibal. But again, here, okay, so over in, I want to say in the continent of Africa, if you're albino, I'm pretty sure they eat you.
Oof.
They think you're like magical.
Yeah.
They sacrifice you. I'm not trying to be mean. I want to say
What
that's kind of
tribe
like
is
the
that,
same.
bub?
I don't know what tribe it is. I'm just saying it's because you're such a oddity. And again, there's, an albino polar bear, or there's an albino this, or albinism runs in all kinds of species. It's not unique to humans.
Have you guys seen the black tiger? The black tiger.
Melanistic tigers?
It's where their stripes merge so much that they're basically like
all black. Yeah, the
pretty
melanistic.
much all with a
That's
little
the
bit of white.
albinism.
Yeah, there's one that recently that was filmed in the wild, all black tiger.
Yeah, there's variations.
Creepy looking thing.
See those lobsters that are blue. You find these rare one-offs where they're like, that's a 1 in 300 million crab or whatever it is. Like, we get those variants, and again, even in
the white buffaloes,
the
white
moose, elk. I mean, all that stuff in Native Americans too. If there's like a albino anything, they're like, you don't kill that thing. That's a spirit animal. Yeah, you leave them alone.
My brother Henry one time caught, and one of his live traps was an albino porcupine.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw it. He had it at our house, and I was like, or at his house, and I thought that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
And he was in talks with kind of a zoo person, somebody in the zoo that wanted to come and take it and not kill it and keep it alive. And word got out that he had caught this albino porcupine, and he came home one of those days, and not too long after he caught the damn thing, and it was gone. Somebody came and took it.
Sure. Probably sold it on the exotic pet market.
Probably
up there with the chimp crazy lady or the Tiger King out in Winnewood.
The Tiger King.
Oh man, I tell you what, I watch that once a year. I watch that whole series again every time.
I can't it gives me so much anxiety. I can't. I watched it once. I'm like, I'm from this. Like the chimp crazy. I can't watch that again. Maybe in a few years I'll go back to it, but God, it's disturbing.
Have you guys seen the Out There on Hulu, the documentary series?
No.
Oh my God.
Stoner may have, but we haven't.
You guys will love it. So it goes over all these different stories of like this one guy, and you think it's going to go one way, but it goes a complete fucking opposite.
M. Night Shyamalan?
Like these are real stories. This guy, this woman, her sister was dating this guy in high school, and then as they got older, they broke up, but he stayed friends with her, and he was helping her out all the time like that, and she's kind of noticing this guy's kind of weird. And then one day he just drops it all on her that lizard people have taken over the government, and he's got all this plan to expose all this shit. And she's like, what's going on? And
no. I've watched this. I watched this.
Yeah.
What?
Or he fucking set up his RV.
Yes.
He loaded it with explosives.
Yes.
Downtown.
The Nashville bomber.
Yeah, we saw that.
Bomber. Well, there's a whole new documentary just about that story on Netflix.
Yes.
Out There did an episode.
I've heard that story.
But it just came out as a full documentary.
Okay.
But have you seen the Out There with the Goatman Bridge?
No. Goatman Bridge?
So I've been to a Goatman Bridge in Texas, but there's another one out at some other fucking location. But Out There, they cover that. Like every episode is a different story that's kind of leading you one way. Is like, oh, people have reported seeing this Goatman figure out on this bridge, and you hear the haunted history of this fucking bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a very much active train bridge, and kids are going out on this fucking train bridge, train trestle. Train comes, fucking kill these kids.
Getting smoked by the train. Yeah.
It keeps happening. And then tourists are coming, kind of assholes like me who go out in the parks to look for haunted albinos.
Yep.
And they're going up on this bridge, and sure enough, they're getting smoked by this fucking train.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy, but like, you guys should watch the entire series because you'll get a kick out of all this crazy shit that happens in there.
I feel like I've seen this because I've seen the train trestle story too. Maybe that wasn't a documentary. Maybe it's just Out There is what I watched about. But yes, it is. It is. And they're like, what, hour-long episodes?
Yeah, hour-long episodes. And they give you some pretty cool details.
Excuse me.
And it might have been Stoner that
I've watched it. I thought it was on Netflix because I've seen
Stoner, did you tell us about this? Yep.
There you go. I don't even remember. The only one I remember, though, is that first one. I feel like the other ones might be the one where like the dad that like killed his whole family and like buried him in his backyard. Is that part of one of them? Is that the new Unsolved Mysteries?
That's Unsolved Mysteries.
Okay. That might have been Unsolved Mysteries. I watch all of those too.
Unsolved Mysteries is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they've been
Great.
fantastic.
Still great.
Do you have to explain?
Whenever they
William
first brought it
Shatner?
back, William Shatner's a god on those shows, man. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. The guy's in his 80s, pushing 90s. He looks fantastic.
He does.
And then, but the Unsolved Mysteries, whenever that came back out on Netflix, and they had Robert Stack in the intro still, I was like, dude, that's amazing.
Mhm.
Oh,
Keep
he's
his ass going.
fantastic.
Isn't he
Who
the
doesn't love
AI
Robert
Robert Stack?
They should just AI generate his voice and pay his family royalties, or even digitize. They should just digitize him in.
He's passed, right?
That's honestly for the future.
I'll tell you what.
That'd be a great thing.
Dennis Moreno, he was a great host of Unsolved Mysteries. Dennis Farina, he was really good as the host of Unsolved
I want to start
Mysteries.
a TV show called Nostalgia TV, and it's not watching old syndicated episodes, but it's literally making new ones with AI generating the host and everything. So you could take Robert Stack and just start making new episodes of Unsolved Mysteries with him, and put the new episodes and new storylines into that
in
AI
the trench
format.
coat and everything with the fog.
Have you seen?
It was a normal night
Dexter?
when he got his ice cream cone. Yeah,
Right?
Sorry.
No worries. The stupid question: have you guys ever seen the show Dexter?
Yes,
I have not watched it. Mikey,
bro. Yes, I love Dexter.
That one dude, the chief of everybody. He sounds so much like the original guy from Unsolved Mysteries.
He does.
Like,
yeah, the captain.
I was like, the captain.
Yep.
When I first heard his voice, I'm like, what's the guy's voice sounds exactly like? If they get a new host, you should bring him in because his voice is almost perfect. I'm like, oh my god.
Did you like the sequel series, Cold Blood or True Blood or whatever it was called?
New Blood.
New Blood. It's like 10
Dexter
years
Blood.
after the Dexter story. He's hiding out in Montana or whatever.
So good.
God, that's good, dude.
Have you seen that they're coming out with a new one this month?
A new what?
New Dexter.
No, they're not.
They're continuing on. Well, it's a continuation of that story, and it's a prequel series. So they have
Oh my god.
a new person playing Dexter.
He's a
Michael C.
young
Hall
man.
still also he's still Dexter, but they have a young man.
Okay.
Whenever he first becomes a blood spatter analyst and all that stuff. So
Right. And how his father raised him to focus his
they got a different
serial killer tendencies, and his father knew it. And he basically said, if you're going to do this, we're going to do it for good. So he trains them to start offing criminals instead of like regular people.
Yep.
It's such a crazy concept.
It comes out next weekend.
That's actually
And
really interesting.
the father's played by Christian Slater.
What?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a huge
I was like,
Christian
what's
Slater
going
fan.
So yeah, he's now Harry Morgan.
Remember that Christian Slater movie, the skateboard movie with Christian Slater? I can never remember what it's called. But True Romance, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Damn.
Man, that's weird. I've never thought about it like, hey, if you have a psychopathic tendency, use it for good. It's like Little Nicky.
That's Dexter.
Dexter has watched Little Nicky. Use it good.
Little Nicky is so weird.
That was randomly like how I got into that talking about Dexter, because I'll talk about Dexter forever, dude. That show's amazing.
Let's do a whole episode on Dexter sometime, Burton. Me and you, we geek out.
There you go.
And the only other person I know that watches Dexter or watched it was Disbro.
It's not that I
Disbro
won't watch it. It's just I haven't. I have a lot of shows on layaway.
It's on Netflix, right?
Forever.
The whole
Like,
series, both
I'm
of
thinking
them.
like 5 to 10 years from now, I'm still going to watch The Wire and all that.
It was originally a
I think it's on
Showtime.
Paramount. It's a Showtime originally, but now it's on Paramount.
You're right. You're
That's
right.
The new series. Coming
You're
out.
right.
The new series coming out on Paramount.
It's going to be
And
a Paramount
also,
Plus original.
We don't have Paramount.
You're a fan of Dexter, so maybe you noticed this whenever that new season that came out, that New Blood.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever his son shows up and that semi driver drops him off,
Mm-hmm.
he tells him, "Oh, it's like 5 miles that way, my man."
Yeah.
The semi driver, the voice of him, was Dokes.
No.
Yeah. They brought that actor back to play that semi driver in that one scene.
No,
You don't see
they
his
did
face, you
not.
just hear his
That's
voice.
Dokes?
That's Dokes.
Hidden
You go back and be like, "Oh my
okay,
god!"
nobody
man.
knows what we're talking about if you don't know what Dexter's all
Sorry about
about.
Oh, you're good.
If you
Me and
haven't seen
Burton are just
Dexter-
geeking out a little bit on Dexter. Sorry,
If you haven't
guys.
seen Dexter, go watch Dexter. It's such an amazing show.
Look up Captain Dokes. I love that actor. He's so good too in that series.
yeah.
I mean, the acting is phenomenal, and it holds up. I thought it'd be like kind of, people love to like the older HBO series of like Oz and what's the police, the cop where they're They're like narco cops that everybody loves. Some of those don't hold up as much. And Dexter's old, and it holds up. It could be released today, and you would not know the difference. The only thing is the technology, the flip phones and some of that stuff.
Flip phone stuff like that. But not Dexter. It holds up pretty good. I think the funniest thing I tell people to watch it, and then they call them back like those flashback scenes where they just put a wig on him and say you're a teenager now.
Right.
It's like
right.
That's like terrible.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious. They just like, here, this is a Justin Bieber haircut wig. And this is what you look like as a teenager.
Yeah, why didn't
it's just like a 30-year-old dude wearing a wig? Like,
yeah. I know.
Oh, it's so good. It's kind of like whenever the guy from the Saw movies put on a backwards hat and he pretended to be in his 20s. It's like, you're like 70 years old. What are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I saw that part.
There's a new Saw coming out.
Hilarious.
Those are great films.
The
first one's still the best.
The prequel of Saw, I think, is what's coming out.
Oh,
it's the story of Jigsaw coming, like how he became Jigsaw.
One of the cases I looked into is not related to serial killers. It's actually kind of a more of an upbeat story, I guess I could say.
Interesting.
That I got to look into was, have you guys ever seen the movie Into the Wild?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Christopher McCandless. A lot of people don't know that Christopher McCandless used to work in Carthage, South Dakota, which is roughly 45 minutes from here. Whenever he was on his, vagabond, being a homeless person going across America. But a lot of people don't know that he actually kind of made South Dakota like his home base. So he'd come here, he'd work for a while, and then he'd go out to California for like a month. And then he'd come back to South Dakota, he'd work for a while, and he'd go out to another place for however long. And he would, be basically homeless. But in that time, he worked in Carthage at this grain elevator. So he worked for a man named Wayne Westerberg. And Wayne went on to help make the movie. They hired him to be one of the guys. They asked him questions about Chris, and him and Chris were like best friends, basically, until Wayne ended up going to prison. Vince Vaughn played him in the movie.
I was about to say that's his character is Vince Vaughn, yeah.
Vince Vaughn.
Yep.
Zach Galifianakis played one of the other characters and all that shit.
Yeah.
So I decided I want to do a video on Christopher McCandless because I like to do videos on things that I can possibly go check out, something like that, if it interests me. And I was like, that's kind of cool that, man, they filmed part of the movie in that town, in that area. So I go down there, I film some of the areas where they filmed. I talk about the story of Christopher McCandless, and then as I'm driving around this really small town, it's really small, I see this guy, he's outside on his deck, he's talking on the phone, and he's like waving at me like, hey, how's it going? So I roll down my window and I ask him, just out of curiosity, do you know Wayne Westerberg, the guy who Chris worked for? He's like, yeah, I know him. He's like, you want to get a hold of him? I was like, well, that'd be great. So he ended up looking up, he had his phone number. So holy shit. Originally I saw this guy, he's like, oh, go down to the grain elevator. They should have his phone number. So I go back to the grain elevator. They're locked up for the weekend. So I'm like, shit, okay, that kind of sucks. I drive back by the guy's house. He's inside. So I'm like, I don't know if I should really bother this guy. But damn, wouldn't it be cool to be able to meet Wayne Westerberg, who is friends with Christopher McCandless, and do an interview with him for the video? So I'm driving out of town to Carthage, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, this will still be kind of cool for everybody to see. And I was like, and the voice in my head tells me, turn around, you idiot. So I turn around, I go back to the guy's house, knock on the door. He's like, come in. Oh, they weren't open? No worries. I got the phone number somewhere here. And he digs around. He calls some people. He gets the phone number. So I call, and he used to own the bar in the movie where they filmed the bar scenes with him and Vince Vaughn drinking. He used to own that bar. He said, I knew Chris because Chris used to drink at my bar. I'm like, well, that's fucking amazing. So I get a hold of Wayne. Wayne says, yeah, I'm down for anything. If you want, I can pull out his journals because I have his journals.
What?
Christopher McCandless, he's writing in the books in the movie and stuff.
Wow.
He has the real books. So I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, that'd be amazing. So I go and I meet Wayne. Wayne is one of those guys that I love Wayne, but he could talk forever. Like he got me in trouble with an old lady. Because I go down there, I film the interview with him. I ask him a few questions, all this cool stuff. And he's like, we're at his house. And he's like, Chris painted this house. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, he used to stay here. He used to stay at this house. I have some of his clothes in my house. Well, you have Christopher McCandless' clothes in your house? I was like, yeah, somewhere. Some of them. He's like, he painted this house. He did all this shit. He worked in that office. I sat basically by where he worked in his desk and stuff. where we did the interview and stuff was where Chris would come in and work, do paperwork. He showed me his W-2s that he filled out, where he, would lie about his name and shit like that, and he'd ask employer's name. He said slave driver on his paperwork. So I'm like, holy shit! So I got to go through all this stuff, and then he tells me about how Sean Penn, who directed the movie, stayed at his house. I was like, holy shit, okay. He became really good friends with Sean Penn's girlfriend, or wife at the time, who was Jenny from Forrest Gump.
Mm.
She's been at his house multiple times, spent the night there, all this shit while they're filming the movie. And then he takes me into this other room. He's like, oh, check this out. And he takes his tarp off his car. And there's this Buick Grand National there. He's like, Sean Penn gave me his car.
Ooh, that's a nice car.
I was like Sean Penn gave you this? He's like, yeah, it was his car. Him and Madonna used to drive around in it because he used to be married to Madonna. So I'm like, no fucking way. So he lets me get inside of this car and I'm checking it out. He's got the registration. It's got Sean Penn's name. It's got a pack of Sean Penn smokes in the center console thing. He's like, I never touched it. He's like, I take it out, drive it maybe once or twice a year. He says, but yeah. I was like, holy shit. So that video kind of went kind of like it was one, like I didn't film every single thing, which I regret. I should have filmed that car, but he was so cool. He like showed me all this shit and he showed me pictures and talked about Chris for a long time. I got to go through his journals and his photos because he used to take pictures about everything. So for me in that video, whenever I like talk about something from his journal and it pops up on the screen, I just use my camera to take a picture of the original books, and I just flip it online and put it on my videos. So everybody else in the videos, I was like, I don't brag about it much, but to myself, I think that's fucking cool because I'm the only one who actually got to hold these books and go through them and shit.
You dug deep, man.
For a YouTube video. That was insane.
Yeah.
That video there. I was like really proud of that. And meeting Wayne was really cool. He'd actually invited me out to go do this tractor pull thing, but I ended up not being able to go, but I still got to see him later on. So that's pretty cool.
Amazing, dude. That's so cool.
Wild.
I'm going to check that video out.
Yeah.
We'll link it in the description. We'll have all
absolutely.
your links in the description, Bert.
Yeah,
dude, I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. You're on one, as they say. I feel like you're hitting. You're still doing this part time. You've got a family. You're paying bills, but I fully believe in what you're doing, and I just know if you keep chasing it and keep getting after it, you have an opportunity to do this full time. And I wish that for all creators, including ourselves.
Yeah. I'm getting close to being monetized, so that's really cool. Like I said, this year has been blown up for me on YouTube.
It's a mountain to climb.
It is, but it's also a lot of fun. Like I said, I've been doing it for almost a decade, and if I didn't enjoy doing it, I wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't still be doing it.
Yeah.
I got another video coming out soon where I look into these two missing girls that were missing. It's a super sad story for like well over 40 years, and then they were found, and the circumstances up to it is just sad. But I won't give you too much detail on that one because that video still has to come out.
Yeah. Dude, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. We were talking about doing a redirect. We'd never done a redirect before, but which is a YouTube feature where you can do a premiere or live stream, and then you could redirect to the Strange Road or vice versa. And then everybody watching gets moved to Berton's show or Berton's video. Or if we're watching Burton's, he could redirect to the Strange Road episode with Berton. I always wanted to try that out, and I think you would be the perfect partner to do because, you've got the presence on YouTube. A lot of podcasters are trying to break into YouTube audio guys, but it's cool little things like that I'd like to give a try. You'd be great for that.
Perfect. Hell yeah, I'm down for anything.
Hell yeah, man. What else you got, Berton? I know you've been a busy guy. I mean, we don't we have as much time as we need. If there's anything else you want to let us know about, let us have it.
Brandon Swanson, that's a big video for me right now. Last year, I'm sure missing people cases going back to that. Brandon Swanson was a kid in Marshall, Minnesota. He went to a couple parties at a graduation thing. He was going to college in Canby, Minnesota. And on his way home, he ended up getting his car high-centered, called his father and his mom to come get him. They couldn't find him. He was on the phone with them the entire time. eventually he told him where he thought he was in Lind, Minnesota, which is literally like 5 miles from Marshall, Minnesota. He ended up getting confused apparently because he was nowhere near Lind, Minnesota whenever they found his car, but he was on the phone with his dad the entire time, walking towards these lights of a town that he thought he was near. So he tells them, okay, well, I'm just going to jump this fence. I'm going to walk to this town because I can see the lights. I don't want to stay on the road anymore. It'll be quicker if I just jump through this field. So he goes on the phone with his dad. He jumps over a fence, still talking to him. And he starts telling his dad how he hears running water and all this other shit. And his dad's, at this point, his dad had taken his mom home because the mom was tired. And they're like, oh, I'll just pick him up. It's not a big deal. The father's on the phone with him, waiting for him at the Lindwood Tavern Bar in Lind, Minnesota. And his son yells, "Oh shit." And then the phone doesn't die, but there's no voice coming on the other side of it anymore. So he's like, hello, what's going on? Hangs up the phone, tries to call his son back, no answer. He tried to call, nothing, until eventually the phone died. They never found the phone. They never found him. And the next morning, the dad ended up calling authorities. All of his friends that were out partying with him claimed that he wasn't really drinking too much at all. He barely had anything to drink at both parties, supposedly. And the fucking shit of it was that morning, his car got high center just off the road. That morning, grader had come through and graded the side of the road so they couldn't find any footprints of which direction he headed. And they never did find any evidence. They never found his phone. They never found him. And they're not sure where he went. Did he fall in that river? It's possible. So I ended up, for work, I had to go to Marshall, Minnesota, which is a couple hours from here, 3 hours, I think, to finish up some jobs that took place down there. So I asked my boss, hey, do you care if I finish my jobs? I go take a look at this with the work truck. He's like, go for it. So I loaded up my camera and I got to go down there and I checked it all out. And I don't know if there's any real correlation with it, but have you ever heard of the smiley face killers?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
College age young men, they go disappearing near bodies of water, and not too far from where they disappear or are found, there's a smiley face painted on some wall or something. While I was down there, I went to the exact location where they found his car. I walked to that river and I filmed a bunch of stuff. And between where his car was found and where the river was, there's a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. And then there's another sign that says something about the bridge. And both of those have a smiley face painted on.
No shit.
That's kind of interesting. But, and a lot of people say, oh, definitely the smiley face killer got him because the smiley face, which I don't know if I believe that, because you'd have to be in the right place at the right time. This was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. It was actually near Taunton, Minnesota, which is about a good 25 miles from Lind. So honestly, if he had left that party at Canby like he said he was, if he had just stayed on the main road, he would have ended up right back in Marshall, Minnesota in like 15 minutes. But we think that, at least I think, he was avoiding the roads because a couple years beforehand, he had ended up getting a minor DUI. So I think he was avoiding the cops best he could, got turned around because he was intoxicated, and ended up getting lost and then eventually falling in the river and dying or being swept away. Because a couple of other weird things about it was he had glasses, but his glasses were in his car whenever they found him. And people were like, oh, why did he take off his glasses? Well, I did some more research into it. Turns out he was like blind in one eye. And whenever you're driving at night and possibly intoxicated, it kind of messes with your eyesight to wear your glasses. So he takes off his glasses, leaves them on the thing, wrecks the car, quote unquote, gets it stuck, not wrecks it. Takes off walking, doesn't see the river, falls in the river, gets wiped away. While I'm there, the river is not very deep, but at the time that he'd possibly fallen in the river, I went back that same year, earlier this year, did a live stream there, and the river's flowing a lot, like much more. It's a lot higher, and that would have been around the exact same time that he'd fallen in, 2000, I want to say 13. It's a weird case. The dogs led him towards the town of Porter, which is like 5 miles in the opposite direction. the river itself flows towards the town of Taunton, which would have been the only town would have been visible from where he was. But everybody was so focused that, oh, the dogs went towards Porter, so we believe he went towards Porter. You can't see Porter at all from that location because I stayed out there until the sun went down just to see if there's any lights. Only lights you can see is from Taunton. So it's kind of a weird case where this kid just up and vanished. And the good thing was his parents,
Oh, I think we're losing you, Bert.
fighting.
Hey, Bert, I think we lost you there for a second. What were you saying there?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you now.
Well, I said the only cool thing about it is that his parents fought in court to make it so that whenever somebody who's an adult goes missing, you don't have to wait the 48 hours
Right.
to go looking for him now. And you just basically, hey, he's missing. We need to go look for him.
Mhm.
And now they're legally obligated to do that. It's called Brandon's Law. So that was one of the videos I looked into. It's an interesting one. And that's also one of the videos that caught the attention of the YouTube channel, The Lore Lodge. Shout out to those guys. They're doing some amazing stuff. If you want to talk about research into videos, like they have hour-long episodes that, holy crap, the research that they get into is insane. And those guys are awesome. And they reached out and had me go and talk about another case where I went to Brandon Lawson in Texas. And yeah, no, that was really cool. Those guys were great. So that's about the only other things I got going on is just missing people cases. And I'm looking forward to more spooky shit as well.
Dude, keep your ear to the ground. You're doing it. That's awesome. I'd love to connect with the Lore Lodge. I remember when you were when they brought you in for that, you were talking to you're like, hey, have you ever heard of the Lore Lodge? It's like, no, but it sounds amazing. And I did check out a few of their videos. It's great content.
I've been fans of those guys, those boys there for years. And I remember like listening in on some of their information. I'm just like, how do you get this kind of research done? It's insane.
Yeah.
But they're smart guys. They know what they're doing. That's for sure.
Yeah. Dude, that
takes some time.
Yeah.
You got to refine your practices. You got to learn some things not to do and what to do. You know, it's breaking eggs.
And the crazy thing is they've been pushing out episodes like one a week.
That's insane.
And
that's
like,
hard to do.
It's so impressive. It's crazy.
Especially research-based episodes.
Yeah. It was good for those guys, though. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't do that kind of research. If I get a video that's over 10 minutes, I'm like, I did pretty good.
I did pretty good.
No, yeah, that 10-minute format of what you're doing is, to me, that's like a really specific like YouTube content. Like when you think about the 2.5 hour podcast, hour and a half podcasts, it's on YouTube. You know, it's tough to have that format, but you know that 10-minute chunk, like that's a great window.
Yeah,
your type of content is fire for YouTube. So, dude, keep it up. We love you, buddy. You're the man.
Absolutely.
You're welcome back anytime. Let everybody know where we can find you, where we can connect with you, and what you're doing with Local Legends.
The YouTube channel is called Local Legends Berton Moran. But if you look up Berton Moran, you're more likely going to find it. And then don't type in Local Legends because that has been taken by a million other people since I started the channel.
Yeah, I know.
There's a million other Local Legends channels out there. So just look up Berton Moran. I'm not going to change it. If I do, I'm just going to add a with. So it's Local Legends with Berton Moran.
Yeah.
But we actually talked about that last time I was here.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if I'm going to change that. But look up Berton Moran if you guys want to get a hold of me. You can find me on X. TikTok, I have just under Berton Moran. I post a lot of the shorts that I post on YouTube on there. But yeah, subscribe, and I appreciate the hell out of you guys.
Absolutely.
Same to you, man. We appreciate you so much. Much love. And don't go anywhere. We're going to come back and say goodbye to you officially, Berton. We're going to do some shout outs, end the show here. There you go, guys.
Cheers, man.
Local Legends, Berton Moran. Peace, brother.
Later, guys.
That was awesome.
What a guy. What a guy.
Burton's out there doing it.
Burton's doing
He's getting after it.
Yes, he is. So proud.
Like,
and he came into our show during one of our streams, you know, when we were kind of kicking things off. I don't know if it was through Hollow Sky or what it was, but how Burton got on our radar. But we kind of, you know, became fast friends ever since. And like I said, Burton's been supporting our show for a long time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But hey, that was a fun one, Bub. What'd you think? Thoughts?
Burton's got the bug where it's like, oh, there's a ghost in there. I want to go in there. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm going to stay in the car. I might stay in the car.
I would have been.
But, strength in numbers. I think I'd go out and do some stuff like that if it was,
if you were with Ryan Singer or Burton.
I'd do it in a group. I would go ghost hunting and stuff in a
Willis.
group. I would do all that. I wouldn't try to summon demons or anything. I'm not saying Burton is, but,
open a divic box or
what, geez, man, I've got certain reservations, right? Like, I'd get a little concerned. Again, like I said, recently I've been listening to so many Audible books about, kind of like what Burton's saying, local legends. One guy out of Kentucky, Nunnally, I think his name's Barton Nunnally. He writes all these Audible books that are AI transcripted, but they're really good. They're, a lot of things you wouldn't consider, and they're spooky. And so then at night, again, when I wake up at 2 a.m. and I have a random bowl of cereal, I'll go downstairs and I'll start freaking out. So I'm walking through the kitchen thinking about all this crazy stuff I've been listening to, and Burton's running headfirst into the burning building.
Hey, better him than me, bud.
That's a champ right there, and he's gonna keep kicking ass.
Oh yeah,
I mean, his last year, like he was saying, he's been crushing,
phenomenal. And
I'm gonna talk about getting swole. Dude's been working out.
Oh yeah,
getting those numbers up. I love it.
Getting after it.
But you got to get those eyes on the channel. And again, like, how many people are going to start coming across that? Or like, this is, again, we always talk about you hit that honeypot and you got that backlog. He's got a good bevy of episodes built up and keep pushing forwards. And you never know. And this is the whole thing. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know when you're going to get that 200K, 300, 500,000, whatever it is download day that really sets you on fire. Mm-hmm. You want to be ready with that, right? And that's one of these things is you keep just putting in the time. It's not. There's no rhyme or recipe to it, I don't think. And when it happens, if you've got all that stuff, man, and you're already on your trajectory like he is.
Yep.
I'm excited for him. It's awesome.
And we're trying to do the same thing right now, rebooting the show. We're getting back on track to keep pumping and having that reservoir of content.
Yeah.
Till the next, Serpent Mount Impact Crater Tour with Thomas Johnson video, which has been taking off like wildfire. It's slowed down a little bit, but we just got to keep at it and keep going and take a page from Burton's experience this year and all these other people out here that are crushing it, and you guys out there are crushing it. We've been seeing you. We've been seeing the interactions on X and Instagram and TikTok. So thank you all for listening, watching. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, which Stoner ran the graphic, so we can't do the AI generated test.
Yeah.
We have a Stoner, so
all right. It all works.
Oh man, it's good. Good stuff. I'm your host, Mikey. This is Bub. Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Later.
We're out. Peace.
10-1.